Runthebergers, you are on your way to Runtheberg Ultra 2023. Your new format Runtheberg, and things are looking fantastic in the mountains, but we're not going to waste time talking nonsense. I'm Warren, this is Chris. We are the guys that you will get hold of when you need to complain about something or to tell us how fantastic your race was. Let's start off with the one good thing that COVID brought us was the introduction of virtual race briefings. It's a fantastic innovation. It gives people the chance to watch the race briefings, usually when they're driving on their way to the event. But more importantly, instead of missing out a bit of the spirit of sitting and making jokes and kind of all the excitement of the race, but you've got an opportunity to stop, pause, rewind, replay things that you need to watch again, and it's actually a great way of doing a race briefing. You should have most of the important information already that has been put up on the website. It's been distributed via social media, and most importantly, you will have received 5 at this stage pre-race briefings. That's the end of the pre-race briefings, but you should have received 5 pre-race briefings. It's important information. If you haven't, then please get hold of us and we will make sure that you get whatever you're missing. 3 of the 5 are already up on the website, so if you didn't get 1, 2 or 3, have a look under race info. You'll see the race briefings there. Okay, as we said, the mountains are looking glorious. There's been a bit of rain, so there's a bit of greenery, and we are looking at clear conditions on Saturday, which is fantastic, but it is going to be quite hot, so that is something to take into account. The 2 most important things, let's deal with them now: the race controls for safety and for us making sure that we have an idea of where people are on the route if necessary. Both of them do take into consideration the race number. Here is your beautiful race number this year. This is what it looks like. What you will see is at the bottom here, I'm not going to tear it off because we'll use it, but there is a tear off slip that you will put your name in. It has your race number, and very, very, very importantly, at the start of your race in the morning, make sure that your tear off slip is off your number and put in the box that we will be using to collect the tear off slips. That way we know who is out there. So people register, people arrive. Sometimes somebody comes to a race with every intention of running and they eat something bad, or they drink too much, or they just lose interest and they don't run. That's okay. None of that really matters. All that matters is if your tear off slip is in the box at the start, we know you're on the mountain. If your tear off slip is not in the box at the start, we don't think you're on the mountain and you could be there for days. So make sure your tear off slip is put in the box at the beginning. The second control, you need to make sure that your race number is recorded at every checkpoint. We do have marshals who are well trained, who know what's going on, but sometimes a couple of runners run past at the same time. Make sure that your number is recorded. So you will, if you're not stopping at a checkpoint, you're running past, make sure, Mr. Marshal, number 161, have you got me? The marshal will say yes, he's got you, and you know that you are then recorded at that checkpoint. That's pretty basic, but don't ever forget it. It's very, very important. Compulsory equipment, we hammer on about that. You should be well acquainted with the compulsory equipment you need. The weather is going to be good as far as the compulsory equipment list goes, so it's a good weather call. It is hot. Make sure that you've got enough hydration. Make sure you know where the water stations are so you can plan your hydration accordingly. We do take a zero tolerance approach to the compulsory equipment list. Anybody found to be short of an item of compulsory kit at the start, on the route, or at the finish, we do reserve the right to impose penalties. That could be a time penalty, it could be disqualification. Importantly, although it is going to be hot, Please remember, for the 42 and the 65, your waterproof jacket is still a compulsory item. Irrespective of weather, on the high mountains, waterproof jacket is compulsory. It is going to be quite windy, so you may find, even if it doesn't rain, that waterproof jacket may come in quite handy when you're up at the top of the mountain. Remember that Runtheberg is a carry your own race. That means that you need to have a collapsible cup, a camping cup, something to drink out of, a flask, something that you can actually fill up at the aid stations. We don't have a whole lot of polystyrene cups or sachets that can make a mess, and we try and minimize our single use at this race.
What you carry in, please carry out.
That is always important. I think we've never had a race where Runthebergers litter. In fact, 99% of all trail runs, people just don't litter. It's not what we do. But sometimes you drop something out of your pocket, a tissue or a gel sachet. If you find anything on the trail, please just pick it up, stuff it in your pocket, and you can drop it off at the next checkpoint and help us keep the environment as pristine as it is today. Okay, the cut-off times, again, we're not going to repeat them here. You know where they are. They have been hammered out on the pre-race briefings. They're on the website. Acquaint yourself thoroughly with the cut-off times at the various checkpoints for your race. It is quite important. They are generous for the most part. Runners on the 65, you're not going to be able to have a nap and still finish in time. But
just keep moving.
Just keep moving and you'll be fine. The other races, I think if you're moving at a fair pace, you could actually have a little nap and still make it in time. But we are going to be very strict about applying the cutoff times at the various cutoff points. You need to be through the checkpoint by the designated cutoff time. So if the cutoff time, for example, is 3:30 in the afternoon, you need to be at the water station and out of it on your way to the next checkpoint or finish by 3:30. If you're still at the water station come 3:30, you will be cut off. That's the definition. Okay. The 13 and the 25 are fully marked routes. They are the signature Runtheberg orange ribbon, and as usual they should be marked like a highway, cat's eyes. We always say this, you really should not get lost. I've learnt in the past not to challenge people. I used to challenge people to get lost and somebody would get lost. It's not a challenge to get lost, but you really shouldn't get lost. The principle here is, if you do think you are lost at a point, you probably are. You will now know the rhythm of the race. You will know that there are pretty much markers every while. You should never not be able to see a marker. If you ever find yourself in a position where you can't see any markers, you probably are lost. Rather than going forward looking for where you think the route could have gone, rather go back to where you last saw a marker, and guaranteed you will save time and stress by doing that.
Right. These are located on the track. Any direction changes or mergers, and they're about this high off the ground. You can see it's just a seed marker, so they're where you're looking on the ground. And for the 25, the confirmation markers are orange ribbon, and for the 13 as well.
The 42 and the 65 are not marked courses. They are self-navigated courses where you, the runner, will be relying on your own sense of direction and hopefully your Garmin or Sunto or whatever you will be using for your GPS navigation. It should be quite easy. I do think that most of the runners at Runtheberg this year who are doing the 42 or the 65 are pretty experienced and or skilled in terms of following a track on the device. I'm not experienced or skilled, but these devices are so good that it's quite idiot proof and should be quite easy to follow. We haven't marked the courses at all, except for one or two places where there is a route join or a route split.
Okay.
between the different
Yeah.
distances.
So you'll see these occasionally where there's very short sections where they do overlap. You might see some orange markers, and where the trail diverges and the 13 or the 25 go in an opposite direction or a different one to where you are, you'll see these will help. But above all, follow your GPS, and these are just there to kind of give you a little bit of assistance. Not all of the big direction changes will have an arrow telling you what's happening, so you'll definitely need to be checking, be aware of the direction change, and then just double check your GPS as you go through that. Within 30 meters you should see whether you're correct or not.
I think that's an important point. We haven't marked directional changes, or if there's a fork where you're running on a single track and you get to a fork where one track goes left, one track goes right. We haven't marked those on the 42 and the 65. You just follow your GPS track, and it's clear enough. It's directional changes are clear, forks are clear. At worst, you might see, oh, I've gone 10 meters and I'm going in the wrong direction. Then you know you just get in, take the other fork, get onto the track. We're not going to go through how to follow a GPS track, but it is simple. We haven't marked directional changes and forks just for the sake of it, except where different races of Runtheberg this weekend come together or split. Another very important message is for 42 and 65 runners: ignore the ribbons. Your race has nothing at all to do with ribbons. If you see a ribbon, it has nothing to do with you. Don't get confused. Don't think you're wrong. Don't take it as a sign that you're right. The ribbons have nothing to do with you if you're running the 42 or the 65. There are a couple of sections where you will overlap with the 13 route or the 25 route. Ignore the ribbons. That's as simple as it gets. Okay, we do have a great team of sweepers helping us out and keeping you guys safe and keeping us informed. We have a dedicated sweeper per distance in the traditional back marker role who will make sure that you guys are all right. They're there to come up behind you, and if there's any need for them, they're there, experienced guys. And one of the most important race controls, by the time the sweeper for a distance gets to a checkpoint, we know that everybody in that distance should be through that checkpoint and finished. They are the last man or woman. In fact, we got 2 women in our sweeper team. It's a great, and they're strong. It's a really strong sweeper team. So yes, once the sweeper gets to a checkpoint, we know that in theory all runners are through. We will then do an exercise of tallying all the numbers, and we will then know 100% that all the runners are through. If you are not through, if you have somehow fallen behind the sweeper, then we know that you're out there somewhere, and that's quite an important control for us. On a related topic, in the event of device failure for the 42 and the 65, you know what to do, but in case you don't know what to do, you need to basically wait for the person behind you to catch you up and then carry on with them. Carry on to the next checkpoint. If you guys are going at a similar pace and you're enjoying each other's company, then you can carry on like that. If not, stop at the checkpoint and wait for the sweeper. If you don't want to carry on at the checkpoint, we will make a plan, but otherwise continue with the sweeper. Race etiquette and safety considerations, always important. If you withdraw from the race, if you decide you don't want to run anymore, if you bail at a checkpoint, or you come down from the mountain and see the cavern and think you actually want to rather go and swim and have a beer than carry on, we can't force you, but let us know. You have the emergency numbers on your race numbers. That is myself and Loretta. They signal pretty much consistently most of all of the routes. Phone us and let us know that you have withdrawn, and we on where you've withdrawn between which checkpoint and which checkpoint, and we don't have to go out there and notify search parties. An important thing that we've learnt in South Africa over the years from a couple of unfortunate incidences thankfully not a lot of races, but it's happened at 1 or 2 races. Obviously, stay on the trail. Stay on the marked track, stay on the GPS track. If you do need to go off the trail, you need a toilet break, you need to rest and lie down, or whatever you may need to do, do this. Take your bag or your jacket or something and leave it on the trail where you leave the trail. I'll tell you exactly why this is important. And an example, there was a race where a young lady was not feeling well, left the trail, and unfortunately had a health incident and died. And they didn't know, and they couldn't find her because they had no idea where in the environment she was. And this is critical. It could be life-saving. If you leave the trail, leave something of yours on the trail, so if somebody comes up behind you and sees a bag, they know that somebody's actually in the wilderness there somewhere. That's critical. Okay, emergency numbers on your race number. We've told you. You've got awesome race shirts to look forward to this weekend. In the tradition of legendary race shirts, not 2023 is another legend in the making. Wear your race shirts. They really are high quality and spectacular, and they make for very cool pictures. On pictures, we've got a lot of photographers all over the routes, and yeah, smile, jump, run fast, lie down, sit in the river like one guy did one year, and make sure that you interact with the guys. And I think enjoy yourselves, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Drive safe, and hopefully we are in time. So let's get this uploaded and see you guys tomorrow. Drive safe. See you tomorrow, guys.
Awesome.
Peace out.